have reached Officer Pringle. If you can, please leave a name and number, and I'll get back with you. The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time. Goodbye.
Officer Pringle. She lives in Georgia. I get punished because I want my life to be over. I want my life to be over because I can't get the help I need. I get empty promises. Sounds like there's an officer downstairs. I'm gonna go take care of it. Back up! Back up! Back up!
Hey, Sean, what's up?
I need a safe environment. When I say a safe environment, I mean I need a place of my own.
Okay.
I had that before Natalie was killed.
Yep.
That was taken away from me because Natalie was killed. Obviously, I didn't kill Natalie. So they should have allowed me my place back. Instead, officers did everything they could to cover up the fact that they didn't do their jobs before Natalie died.
Okay.
The FBI needs to be involved, and I can't do any of the stuff that I'm being asked to do if I'm in an environment that it's somebody else's stimuli. Where, like here, he's not a bad person, but he watches shows about killing, you know, like Dexter and stuff like that. And if it's not that Game of Thrones, then it's all very
overwhelming.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I can't work through that.
Okay.
And the thing is that I've been trying to get help to show the evidence for over 2 years, and officers across the country have absolutely made fun of me, blown me off, told me it's out of their jurisdiction, and told me to do things I'm not capable of doing without a safe environment.
Yeah.
I've had to live with meth heads and alcoholics, and they're all volatile people, and I'm not allowed to have a meltdown when these people are screaming. It's fine and dandy because it's their household, but I'm not allowed to have a meltdown. I have to maintain my calm at all points in time. I need to go after officers in this town who didn't do their job and outright lie to professionals in order to get an outcome that would justify the things that they didn't do, which is their job.
Okay.
I need a safe environment. I need actual help. Instead of telling me, hey, I need you to do this and I need you to do that. No, I need officers to investigate. I have over 100 recorded phone calls with people that verify the things that I'm saying. I have thousands of screenshots. I need to be able to sit down and actually work on that without having other people's extraneous stuff around me. And with all of these phone calls that I'm making, I've literally made thousands of phone calls from one place to another, to another, to another. You need to do this, you need to do that, and it's all stuff that I can't do. I'm disabled. My disability money is supposed to be to take care of me. But I was made homeless and had all of my disability money taken away and forced to jump through a bunch of green hoops for the courts, both here and in Colorado. I need actual help. I need a safe environment where I don't have to be afraid of being punished by the police for trying to turn them in.
So, I'm trying to think. There's not much I can do with that. That's going to be through HHS. I can't do much with housing. I know it sucks. I wish I could. And I'm going to turn my back.
Yes, sir.
A little bit to the wind. There's not much I can do with that. I wish I could. Besides talking to HHS, maybe they can get you some of that low-income housing. But outside of that, there's not a whole lot I can do.
Well, I can't do it by myself. I get blown off because I'm intelligent, and I get blown off because of my disabilities. I mean, the fact is, there's at least 4 former officers in this town that need to be in jail for what they did. I mean, I was harassed by police for trying to turn in police.
Okay.
And that's not okay. I need a safe environment where I can actually sit down and work. And instead of punishing me for not being able to do that, I need an environment where I can actually do that.
I'm trying to think of, have you tried the library up here?
No, sir, I need my own safe
I know.
environment. My own safe environment. I've tried the library. People always make the same suggestions over and over. No, I need my own place. That's
I understand.
literally what I need.
Yeah. That's, and I'm trying to get to that point, but I mean, outside of HHS, there's not a lot of resources that I have or the sheriff's office has or anything like that to get you some into low-income housing. That's all through the Department of Health and Human Services and all that.
Sir, I can't do all of this by myself. There is no possible way. And I'm tired of making phone calls to end up with other phone calls, to end up with more phone calls, to call more people, to call more people. I want my life to be over. I mean, if I can't get the help that I need, I am going to kill myself. And what I'm telling you is that taking me in on suicide watch for saying that isn't going to help. It's going to make things worse.
And we're not trying to take you in. I'm trying to get you the help, but
the thing is that I've been taken in repeatedly before when I had a bunch of evidence to show, and most of that stuff has gotten stolen because I've been in unsafe environments ever since Natalie died.
Okay.
One alcoholic to another, to another, to another. And in each of these places, I have to go through a shit ton of abuse. I have thousands of screenshots. I have literally hundreds of conversations recorded with people about what's been going on. I have Facebook that's full of stuff that I've been going through. I mean, the thing is that this harassment, because it was made public when Natalie died, and the bullshit that I had to go through before that, I mean, I have been made a target by the American public, and I have to deal with that. Walking down the street in this town, in Washington State, in Bristol, Virginia, I mean, I have been from one end of this country to the other, and everywhere I go, I have to deal with that. And then people are allowed to scream at me because they're drunk, or scream at whoever it is, and they don't understand that that shuts me down. That makes it so that I can't function.
Just trying to think of anything I can offer you, and there's no resources I have. We work with the state, but
sir, I have to be able to stop the abuse, and that means that I need to be able to show this evidence, and it means that I need an environment where I don't have to be afraid of that.
I know.
Where I don't have to be afraid of getting thrown out on my ass because I have a panic attack. And I have a panic attack because of the stimuli in the environment. And it doesn't make most of these people, some of them are really shitty people. I'm not going to lie. Some of them are extremely shitty people. But most of them, like Mandy Hughes, like I have it recorded. That's what she's pissed off about, is that I literally had to record her because there were things that she was trying to do that they lied about in court. The police outright lied to protect their fellow officers. Officers like Waylon Lolatai, who was let go of the Denver Police Department because he was assaulting people. And they let him go. And he got a job at the Boulder Police Department. And after Natalie died, he assaulted the fuck out of me. None of my public pretenders were willing to do their jobs. I have problems with people here in town who went out of their way to outright lie and slander my name and do all sorts of fucked up shit. I mean, this is on... People harass me from a website called Sword and Scale, episodes 109 and 110. That is evidence of the shit that I've gone through. I mean, I have a shit ton of evidence upstairs here. It is a pile that is too big for me to handle. And I need help. I can't function. And instead of telling me to do this and do that, understand that I can't.
I know. And that's why I'm trying to think of things I can do to help you, but there's just not a lot I can.
Sir, I need a safe environment, and I need the FBI involved.
Okay. As far as a safe environment, that's going to be through HHS. I can get you the numbers to the Omaha office, the FBI. Have you tried contacting them yet? Or
I have. I've tried calling the FBI. Dude, I have recorded conversations with people with the FBI. I've literally made hundreds of calls just to the FBI.
Okay.
I'm overwhelmed and I want my life to end because I have to endure the abuse over the slander for the rest of my life. I can't take care of myself. I can't get my disability money back. I have warrants for my arrest in Colorado. I have proof that what they did in Wyoming last year was fucking bullshit and illegal.
Okay.
I have proof from witnesses that I recorded. I mean, they tried pretending that I broke something there, and I don't have the money to go to all of these court dates, let alone press charges against these people and be able to go to those court dates. These people put me at risk. I have to deal with people threatening me in this town because of what happened, and because the officers, like Officer Cody Selhorst, didn't take it seriously, and Officer Jordan Anderson didn't take it seriously. They needed to document it, and they didn't. I am at risk because, specifically because of your department, and I understand that you're not the one that did it, and that it's not your fault, and that you're new here, but the fact is, I need to be kept safe from Sheriff Scott DeCosta and Jared Hahn, and I made a phone call, I recorded it as well, with calling you guys up, and I explained to them I'm trying to get charges pressed against Scott DeCosta and Jared Hahn, and they had Jared Hahn call me back, and I was, it's on there. I mean, there are literally hundreds of conversations on there with witnesses from this town and also from Colorado, from all over the place. And these people are pissed off at me because I exposed the fact that their environments were dangerous. They shut me down, and I'm not allowed to be shut down because I'm a male. I'm not allowed to be shut down because I'm intelligent. I'm not allowed to be disabled because I'm intelligent. I mean, literally, they did everything in their power to prevent me from being able to press charges against the police officers and the public pretenders who didn't do their job. They literally went out of their way to work for the prosecution. I have crippling panic attacks, and I have meltdowns every day now because of everything that I've gone through. Mandy Hughes, I have recorded conversations with her, and that's what she's pissed off about. But the fact is, she was afraid. All these people are afraid of law enforcement and afraid of the Bollinger family.
So, right now, what can I do for you? That's where I'm at. I can't help you get housing. Fortunately, I can't.
I need a safe environment.
I understand.
Someone to sit with me while I make these calls. So like, I shouldn't have to post it on the internet.
I know.
All of these witnesses should have been allowed to speak. They should have been allowed to show evidence. And the phone calls that I recorded with them, they show that the police wouldn't do anything anywhere. They went out of their way everywhere that I went to cover up the fact that these police wouldn't do their jobs before Natalie died. I am a mentally disabled person and a physically disabled person. I haven't had my own mailbox since Natalie died. I haven't had my own roof since Natalie died. I've had to live with crackheads and meth heads, and I can't handle that.
I get it.
Meanwhile, it's all over slander that I didn't start. It's all over slander that I had to deal with. And I have been targeted by the public because of what the news had to say. And because police officers took advantage of that to hide the fact that they didn't do their jobs. I have hundreds of recorded things with people on this computer and the one that's upstairs about other victims of this type of abuse, especially in Boulder, Colorado. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of victims on there that are telling me about their predators because they think that I can do something about it. Like hundreds, sir, hundreds of child molesters, hundreds of rapists.
I can't do a whole lot, and that's besides investigate, but I can't investigate my own department. That's the problem.
I know, and the state patrol won't do it.
And then besides calling the FBI, I mean, right now we're at an impasse. I want to get you help, but there's not a lot I can do besides point you to HHS. And right now that's where we're at.
I need someone to call HHS with me because either I'm having a panic attack and they call the cops on me, or I'm doing my best to maintain as best I can, and they're like, oh, well, you're intelligent, you don't need help.
So who can help you? Do you know somebody in town?
No, sir, that's the problem, is that all of the people that could help me said that they would and said that they would, and they didn't. And just like with Mandy, I'm pissed off at all of these people, and I do harass all of them. There are people in town. You can go talk to Lori and come over and press charges against me because I've been harassing her. I've been harassing Brenda Dickinson. I've been harassing Laura Nelson because they didn't come forward because they're too afraid. I admit to my wrongs. I also had to do those things because I need help stopping the victimization. I shouldn't have to hide in his house all the time because when I go out in public here, people throw stuff at me, curse me out, or threaten my life.
And that's what we want to stop. And you need to contact the sheriff's office, and we can go and deal with that. I'm hoping you can eventually trust us. Okay? I know it sounds like there's a lot of wrong, but a lot of us on the department are newer here. We didn't deal with any of that stuff.
I know, and that's the problem. There's a lot of officers that their statements need to be taken, but they were allowed to move on, just like Lolatai was. Officer Cody Selhorst took part in harassing me and trying to threaten me to get me to leave town. And I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just Cody Selhorst. It was also Scott decoste. It was also Jared Hahn. And I know you guys can't investigate your own departments, and I can't get anybody else to listen to me because they used the mentally ill thing to destroy my credibility. They sent me to Scotts Bluff where I couldn't make a report against them because I was in the wrong jurisdiction. And then they dropped the charges here in town, which prevented me from being able to show evidence or speak on my own behalf and explain what the officers were doing. That allowed the people in Scotts Bluff to get away with what they did. And all Sheriff Scott decoste, in one of the videos that I have on here, it's a conversation at my grandma's funeral when Ted Bollinger and his daughter are harassing me on Facebook or on YouTube. And that YouTube has been destroyed because I did threaten Ted Bollinger. I said, if anything happens to Alicia or Danica or any of these other people that she's related to, I will kill you. And I did say that. And I got my Facebook or my YouTube removed for that. But the other thing is, like, at that point in time, I'd been assaulted multiple times. Before Natalie died, I was assaulted 7 times. But after she died, in between when she disappeared and when I was assaulted by Officer Lolatai, I was assaulted at least 15 times. I've been assaulted repeatedly by officers and been harassed and picked on and yelled at and made fun of because I keep trying to turn in the police. I have miles upon miles of witnesses. I have miles upon miles of evidence. I need to find a way to show that, and I need a safe environment where I'm not overburdened with the stimuli around me. I am overwhelmed. Mandy Hughes is a witness to this, a witness that the police wouldn't do a thing. They say, it's out of my jurisdiction, it's out of my jurisdiction. Meanwhile, they have absolutely no problems with shipping me across jurisdictions, having other officers in other jurisdictions harass me, like at Candace Bondurant's house. I mean, that's all stuff that I have evidence of here, but I need someone to see it.
I know.
I tried getting to the media. The thing is, all of the time that I've been able to work on this is when I'm alone, and that's it.
Yeah.
Every other time I am overwhelmed with the stimuli, and these aren't bad people.
Yeah.
Like he's not a bad person for wanting to watch the shows he's interested in. He's not a bad person for wanting to play those video games.
I know. Have you tried talking to him? Maybe he can go for a walk for an hour, 45 minutes maybe. And
sir, this is going to take weeks.
I know, but I mean, it's just, you're going to have to be slow with it. At least try to get
I have been slow with it, and because of that, like, he's not going to be able to handle me having panic attacks. He's eventually going to kick me out because this is a stressful situation for anybody to be in, especially having to deal with me when I'm like this.
I know. And that's why, hopefully, I'm not saying to work on this, work on getting the HHS and all that stuff taken care of. Then they can get you in that low-income housing, and then you can work on it there. So maybe have him walk it through with you. I don't know. Did you call the Medicare Medicaid line yesterday?
No, sir. I planned on doing that today. But the thing is, I need someone to sit with me to help explain to them that I need help now. I can't hurry up and wait and hurry up and wait.
And that's the thing. Maybe he can help you with that.
He can't. I've already
know.
asked him. He's overwhelmed and
I
overburdened
know.
with his own
And
personal
that's the thing is,
stuff.
I can't get involved. I would love to. I would. But we can't as a department. It's one of those shitty situations. As a person, I would love to, but I can't as a department. Okay? I can just point you in the right direction with resources.
I'm really cold.
Okay.
Sir, I'm disabled.
I know.
All of my disability money went to people who lied to me until my disability money was all spent. And I spent my disability money at those places because they promised to help me and they just never did. And I have so much evidence of that. And there's 3 phones. One of them I lost and 2 of them were stolen. And those are so full of evidence. I mean, that's part of the reason that I need that stuff from Mandy Hughes, for her to send all of those screenshots of every conversation that we've had. Same thing with Brenda Dickinson. Same thing with Lori Dale. I mean, I recorded Lori Dale too, and she's pissed off about that as well. But I shouldn't have had to do that.
I know.
Nobody should have to break the law to defend themselves. And I get threatened and harassed here in this town over the slander that I was never allowed to defend myself against. I was never allowed to defend myself in the media. They claimed in court, they claimed that nobody was willing to help me. Nobody would come in with me. No, they wouldn't let anybody. And that's not the only slander that they said. And Mandy Hughes is a witness to that. And her text messages between her and I are proof of that. And I would love to be able to pull out those phones and show it to you. But they were stolen in Washington State, where police did the same thing. When you tell police officers, hey, police officers did fucked up shit, then those officers automatically go from, all right, this is somebody who might need help, to this is some tinfoil hat wearing alien conspiracy theorist, and we need to have them locked up. But then they only locked me up for 2 or 3 days. And for somebody who's autistic, constantly having to move around, constantly having to go from one place to another is the worst possible thing to do to them. Having to go live with people who are on meth and people who are on alcohol is the worst possible thing you can do to them. And because I'm highly intelligent, I'm able to speak. People are like, well, you don't look autistic. You're not autistic. You're not autistic. You're not like my cousin. My cousin's autistic. It's a spectrum. There's a lot of autistic people. And they're like, the first thing that those officers should have done is look at those videos. There are other people like me who have to go through this, and they're not going through all of the stuff that I'm going through. They have meltdowns just from average everyday life. And I'm not allowed to have them over anything.
10-4. They're just doing stats checks on the radio.
I'm not trying to kill myself,
No,
but I want my life to end every day because I can't get the help I need. And there's all this bureaucratic red tape in the way. Like Mandy Hughes should have come forward with what was going on, but she was afraid of Ted Bollinger and afraid of the police.
And unfortunately, we can't force them to come forward. I know.
But they tried to come forward. That's the problem. They all tried to come forward. They're pissed off at me because I exposed that on the internet because I needed to show the American public, hoping that someone would do something. And most of these people are like, Sean, I would love to help you, but I'm broke. I would love to help you, but my house is full. I would love to help you, but my husband says no. I would love to help you, but there's 1,000,001 reasons why they couldn't help. And they're recorded. And what they did in court in Colorado and here is outright slander my name. And public pretenders get paid whether they do their job or not. When you have nobody in your corner, nobody who goes in with you, then they don't do their jobs. They don't care. They're getting paid either way. They just want to get you off of their desk, even if it means lying to you, even if it means slandering your name as well. I mean, that's the thing, is that all of this should have been recorded. Every single interaction that I had, I should have had a witness present or have it recorded. And police body cameras.
Do you have that number for legal aid still?
I do. The problem is that I'm having a crippling panic attack, and I need someone to sit with me while I do that.
That's the thing. I can't advocate. I can't be an advocate because of my job.
and I can't function without an advocate.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Maybe he can help advocate for you.
He can't. I've already talked to him about it. He's overwhelmed with his own stuff. I mean, dude, he can't afford the bills here, and he's taking care of me. You know how fucked up that is?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to explain to you that he's a good dude, and it's not right
Sounds
for
like
him
he's good.
to be taking care of me. It's not right. It's not.
Is there anyone else nearby? It doesn't have to
There's
be in
nobody.
Chapel.
There's nobody.
That's
That's the thing, is that there's been nobody from the start. People like Mandy Hughes, who said that they would help, they were prevented from making a police report. And Aaron Cockerham prevented from making a police report. Cara Mia had her son's life threatened. Candace Bonderoff, that's Lori Dale's daughter, she was threatened with being thrown out in the snow with her and her daughter in January of 2018 for taking me in. Officer Michael Beard of Haxton, Colorado, came and harassed her when she took her kids to school and harassed her again at work. I had to go from there to a drug dealer's house outside of Niwot. I mean, this is all stuff that nobody should have to go through.
okay. At this point, I'm gonna see what I can do. Okay. Let me get your phone number. Oh God. I know you call. I didn't have your phone number. I must have lost it or something.
Let me write it down.
Man, that wind sucks today.
First thing I forget when I'm having a panic attack is names and numbers, so I got it on the back of my phone.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. I got all my stuff in my phone.
Yeah, the problem with that is that if your phone gets lost, you lose all of it.
Exactly.
I mean, I have literally hundreds of little bits and pieces of scrap paper that I have to go through to try to find the numbers of the places that I've already called. I mean, those 3 phones that I lost, one of them was, and this is recorded too. I mean, the event of my stuff getting stolen and police officers that I was trying to turn in, I called up their departments to complain about that police officer, and that police officer is the one who calls me back. Like Officer Schneider up there in Tacoma, Washington, Officer Hahn yesterday. And when I was in the jails, when I tried to turn in officers, they would tell me, hey, we're going to hand it to that officer and let him decide whether or not it gets turned in. Like, really? My safety is not a concern at this point because I need to be safe.
So I'm gonna ask some questions, and hopefully that can help me point the right direction for resources. As far as inside the house, how's the living conditions? Like heat, water, food.
The lady who owned it was a meth head, and she sold the wood burning stove for meth. So
Okay.
we have one room that we're able to use that's got heat in it.
Okay.
It's downstairs. It's the living room.
Okay.
There's no hot water. There's no hot water heater. The house is a work in progress.
Okay.
So it's got running water. It's just colder than a cast iron commode on the shady side of an iceberg.
Okay.
As far as a stove, there's no stove. They sold that for meth.
Okay.
There's the guy I'm staying with. He's able to get food sometimes, but like he has a temporary job where, because it's the winter and it's a construction job, he doesn't get to go out very often. And so there's the food bank, and they're not open until the 13th.
Okay.
So I have to go in on the 13th to the food bank. That way I can have some food. But
so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call HHS hotline, tell them all this stuff, okay, and they should get a worker out here, and then you can talk to somebody directly, and then it'll be a caseworker assigned to you. Okay.
Yes, sir.
As far as that, I mean, that's the best I can do for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll try and find some numbers for the FBI office. There might be one in Lincoln, Omaha, some of the ones around Denver, maybe.
Well, I can look it up on the internet. I've called all of those offices repeatedly. I need someone to sit with me for them to take me seriously. They treat me like I'm mentally ill, like I'm an alien conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. So that's where we're going to be at right now. I'm going to make that phone call today. Okay.
Yes,
Hopefully
sir.
within the next few days, I get a caseworker out for you. Okay.
Yes, sir. I don't want him to have to deal with me having panic attacks every day. I'm not violent. You know, the only times that I've been violent is when I was backed into a corner and abused or injected with drugs that make my brain not function properly. And I tell all of these doctors, don't drug me. Don't do that. You won't like the effects. And it's one of the side effects of these drugs. It's actually written on the side effects. And then they arrest me for the side effects.
So that's what we're going to do today, okay?
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we can get this. Hopefully by the next few days, I can get somebody out here to talk to you, okay?
Yes, sir. Also, Mandy Hughes and Alyssa Rainwater, they have evidence they can testify to about the abuse that I've gone through. It wasn't just harassment on the internet, it's abuse in real life. I mean, I need to be able to show this. I have the evidence. I just need a safe place to collect myself. And that's what I've needed since before Natalie died.
And that's what I'm going to try to help you with that too, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm cool. You're cool. I'll let you get back inside, okay?
Thank you, sir.
John.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This week I was supposed to talk to you.
Sheriff DeCosta, I don't trust you.
That's fine. That's why I have witnesses.
I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm making zero effort to kill myself.
At the end of the day, I think we're your biggest fans on YouTube. We all watch your videos. We do want to help you. The other thing I would beg of you is there's a couple people in town who care about you, and there are times that you reach out to them. Lori is one of them, and you send her pretty bad text messages, and it's making her upset. So I'm just here to ask.
She's upset.
She cares about you, Sean.
If she cared about me, she would help me. She would go in with me to write a report.
The thing is, you scare her because of all those messages. She doesn't want to answer you.
I'm scared.
I know.
I'm scared because of what I've had to go through.
I don't know. I agree with you, but I don't walk in your shoes, so I'm not going to insult you and say, oh, I understand. I don't, Sean. I will tell you, if you want him, we will help you. But you telling everybody we won't help you is not true. We do want to help you. We took you to Scotts Bluff to try to help.
I didn't need to go to Scotts Bluff.
That's where. Well, if you tell us how we can help you, Sean. Damn right we will.
I need the FBI involved, and I need a safe house.
Okay,
I need a safe place.
I can give you the phone number. That's about all I can.
That's the thing is I've made literally thousands of phone calls and ended up with
nothing. Right here in Chapel, Nebraska.
I don't have any resources of my own, and I'm disabled. My disability money never should have had to go being spent on the things that it did.
Right.
Without that money, I can't take care of myself. Without
Absolutely.
a roof over my head,
Nobody can.
I can't take care of
Nobody can. Absolutely. So I didn't want to interrupt your conversation. It's between you and him, and I don't want to know. If there's anything we can do within my means, within the sheriff's office means, we'll do that. That's all I can do. I'm not gonna harass you. I'm not gonna come here unless I have an issue.
You know, Jared Hahn, he never went to talk to Laura Nelson. I spoke with her about it. He said he never came to talk to her or investigate. Laura Nelson and Eddie's treasure.
Okay, that's what I thought. I don't know. You and I have sat and talked in depth about Jordan Anderson, and I agreed with you. He didn't take your report. So we sat down with Jared and tried to make that report. We'll do what we can to help within our means. But if you say, hey, I need to go to a hospital, would you give me a ride? We'll give you a ride. I'm telling you in front of witnesses.
I don't need to go to the hospital.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, if there's something we can do, you just let us know within our means. I can't make the FBI come down here. I can give you a phone number. That's
the thing, is the term mentally ill on that trip to the hospital just makes it so that they have excuse after excuse not to even try.
I had it. I know personally of a sheriff who had to go to the hospital. He had a breakdown. And you're right, calling it a mental issue, that's not right either.
When
But-
you say mentally ill, then it conjures up images of Jeffrey Dahmer and things
Correct.
like that. I've been targeted by the American public because of the news. I need to be able to have a
Right.
safe environment where, and I need to be able to have an honest day in court. I'm never going to be allowed to have that because I can't function because of the things that happen to me. And instead of punishing me for the things that happen to me, I need someone to do something about it. Instead of my hands are tied, my hands are tied, my hands are tied. No, they're not tied. You're holding onto the rope and someone's dangling at the other end of it.
If there's something we can do within our means, Deputy Holloway's talked to you.
He's going to call DHHS and try to get someone sent out here in the next couple of days. I would like Deputy Holloway to be the one that deals with me. I also want all of the records and all of the conversations that I had with, like, Cody Selhorst when he went out to Chapel Lake because I was trying to kill myself. He saw me trying to kill myself, and he went across to the other side of the lake and waited for me to die, and it didn't work. And that's when he pulled
That's
me
against.
over.
We can't do that. I wish you would have came and told me that from the beginning, because that's against our oath of office.
I'm aware of that. And that was the night that I spent 3.5 hours trying to explain to him what was going on. And he tried to pacify me by taking me to Pumpkin Pantry and buying me a sandwich. Yes, it's nice to buy a sandwich, but that's not going to stop the abuse that I have to go through. I walk down the street in this town. I don't hate the people who threaten my life. I don't hate these people. But I understand why it is that they're threatening my life. It's because they heard rumors from the news and from other people in the town who mad at me. Oh, like, I knew he was just some sort of creep. I knew he was some sort of weirdo. I knew he was some sort of loser. Like, no, I was always good to people. I helped get people safe. I helped people. I grew up in the system, being raped in the system. And when I told on the staff members who did it, they slammed me to the floor, put drugs in me, and tried to diagnose me as schizophrenic. And the next place that I went, they're like, he's not schizophrenic. We don't know what they're talking about from there. This guy is not schizophrenic. And they took that off immediately. They're like, yeah, he's really smart. He's probably autistic. He's probably highly intelligent and has problems with socializing. And they're absolutely right. But I've worked very hard to learn how to socialize, being moved around from place to place all growing up. I learned how to be fun. I learned how to make friends. I learned how to be good to people. And that was important to me. And people treat me like I'm some sort of a psycho. I was just trying to, I made a video last March, March 11th. I made a video about the missing women of Hardin, Montana. A young woman named Selena disappeared in January 1st of this year. And because of her disappearance, there was a whole bunch of people getting on there, over 14,000 views on that video. And I had people threatening me and harassing me on there, still accusing me of killing Natalie. They busted the dude who
No,
killed
you
Natalie.
didn't kill Natalie.
They busted the dude who did that.
Right.
But the thing is,
He
the
confessed
abuse
to
that
us.
I had to go through at the hands of police across the state who saw the news, but that's the thing, is that the news is biased. They didn't care what I had to say. I had to deal with crazy people like Mike Burnett. I had to deal with people like Layla Dunat, a.k.a. Layla Johnson, a.k.a. Missy Johnson, who was pretending to be somebody else entirely. I mean, I've had to deal with a lot of crazy people. And I need someone to look at that evidence. And I've been told that it's illegal for me to record people without their permission. Well, fine, I have committed enough of those crimes, over 300 of them. There's over 100 of them on YouTube easily, probably closer to 150. I am fine with being arrested as long as you keep me. Don't release me back out here to be punished for things that I was never allowed to defend myself against.
So Sean's going to get a hold of HHS. That was your conversation. I don't want to know. That's
Yes,
he
sir.
earned your trust. So I didn't come here to keep you out. I just wanted to ask you about Lori and if that could stop or fix itself or something. So
Dude, I'll give you a list of all of the people that I've harassed and why.
no, I don't want to. No. I come to ask you, Sean. I don't want to bug you. It's cold. Everybody's shivering. You'll get on what you requested. I hope we can help you however we can. If you just let us know, and we can do it within our means. I'll get out of here with that, Sean. Thank you for listening.
Yes, sir.
I just want to,
I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm not going to.
Nope, no. The date of birth. Sorry.
October 18th, 1980.
Help. That's okay. Sorry.
39.
That's all I can do. So I'm probably gonna ask that for HHS.
I can't hear you.
Take it off, go get warm, okay?
Yes, sir. I know, Pam. I've been trying to get one. That's the problem. Is that I've been making hundreds of phone calls on my own, and it gets me nowhere. You need to call this place, and you need to call that place, and I get overwhelmed with the hundreds of phone calls. After 100 phone calls, I have a meltdown, and I get locked up and treated like I'm mentally ill. But I need a safe environment before I can do that. I mean, most of these people aren't bad people. Most of them are addicts. The guy that I'm staying with isn't a bad person, and he doesn't treat me the way that they treated me in these other places. He doesn't scream at me when I don't do what he wants because he really doesn't ask me to do much. He deals with my panic attacks, but the thing is, the dude can't pay his own bills and he's paying for my food. The deal for me staying here was that I would get food and help provide for the household, and I can't do that. I have to wait till the 13th to even go to the food bank. That's 2 days away. I mean, I need help getting my food stamps back. I need help getting an ID. These are all things that I require in order to be able to jump through these hoops. I need actual help. If I'd have had my own safe place, if I could have gone back to my own place when Natalie died, I could have fought this. I could have had a safe environment where I'm not subject to listening to Shannon Alvarado scream or being shoved around by Christopher Tapp. A lot of my predators took what happened to Natalie as their opportunity to fucking pounce on me and get away with what they did. A lot of these people are pissed off at me. Meanwhile, if they would look at the evidence, which none of them did, none of these people took a look at the evidence. Those hundreds of phone calls, if these people who made these phone calls were to see that, I mean, Alyssa Rainwater and Miss Peaches, I let Miss Alyssa Rainwater know when I was in jail to get a hold of Miss Peaches, and Miss Peaches treated her like shit, and she treated Peaches like shit. And Zachy Abanada, I gave him Shannon Alvarado's number to have him get a hold of her when he got out of jail so he could explain about what was going on in the jail. And she didn't answer her phone. But that's because she was paranoid. There's all these people that harass you and threaten you if that happens. And they can't do anything about the harassment against me, but they can do something about if I harass somebody. Meanwhile, I am so pissed off at all these people because I literally want my life to end because they didn't come forward. I'm not trying to kill myself. Every time that I tried to go to the police, rather than try to kill myself, I got put on suicide watch. I mean, at least this time I have the ability to record it. The guy I'm staying with doesn't deserve to have to deal with me like this. None of these places that I stayed should have had to deal with this. I mean, it's Sally Treon's. That was nonstop yelling, but I mean, really, the worst place that I was at as far as yelling goes was Shannon Alvarado's. I mean, even Joshua Eichelberger was less screamy than Shannon Alvarado. And that dude, I don't like him. I don't like what he did to Sydney. He shouldn't have done that. I don't like the way that he treated 2 3-year-olds, calling them cunts. That's not what you do to 3-year-olds. And then there's people that I love very much. I love Tabby. Like, you got no idea. I love Miss Peaches. You have no idea. But I can't see them, and they're mad at me. You're goddamn right I slandered them. Well, that's not true. I didn't slander Tabby. I slandered Miss Peaches, but it was the shit that they said in court. That she didn't care that they said that in court. I said she made zero effort. No, she did make plenty of effort, but she didn't make very much effort when it mattered. I mean, that one time that we went in to try to talk to the police, that one time, like, I told her, hey, it's 4 o'clock in the evening. It's not going to work. You're right, Pam. It is child abuse. But then there was Rihanna hitting Amy Spencer's girls. That was child abuse. Andrew Witcher molesting his stepdaughter. That's child abuse. And I have evidence of all that on my computer. They can't take a look at it because that's Cheyenne County. That's the next county over. That's Sidney, Nebraska. It's Cheyenne County. I can't make it there. And if I do make it there, I have to worry about the fact that, yeah, I had to post it on the internet. I didn't have any other way to do it. Now, I didn't go posting all of their stuff on there because it's got their phone numbers on it. And that's something that, one of the things that I was Facebook banned was for posting up stuff with people's phone numbers on it, Danica and Shelly's phone numbers. But they told me that they didn't have those phones anymore. They told me that their phones weren't going to work anymore. And that's the thing, is that they outright lied to me. If they hadn't lied to me, I wouldn't have posted up screenshots with their phone numbers in them. But then there's the fact that there's thousands of screenshots that have people's phone numbers in them, and I have to go through and edit the phone numbers out of every single one of them. I mean, people really need to pressure the FBI to look at this evidence. I have a lot of people, they don't even watch my videos. They just get on and they hit the dislike button and then they move on to the next one and hit the dislike button. It's a fucking popularity contest. Miss Peaches should not have been made to feel unsafe in her own place. Miss Peaches should not have been denied the right to fill out a police report. Same thing with Mandy Hughes. She should have been allowed to fill out a police report. You're right. It says, I meant slander as calling someone a murderer or a rapist, and that person gets abused because of the slander. It's illegal. I know, but it's only illegal if somebody does some investigating, if somebody does something about it. You got to hear Scott decoste out there. I mean, he said that if he'd have known what Cody Selhorst did, that obviously that was illegal. But the thing is, I tried. I was streaming it on YouTube because I couldn't get officers to listen. These people need retrained. They need to understand that just because somebody is disabled doesn't mean they're not telling the truth. I shouldn't have had to slander Peach's name. But you see how pissed off she got about that, didn't she? Did she get that pissed off about it when the police said that? I mean, I have been through no end of hell. People hide their kids when they see me coming. Meanwhile, nearly everywhere I go, people want to run up to me. Their kids want to run up to me and play with me. Their dogs want to run up to me and play with me. And I'm like, police do need to look at the evidence. They do need to open the case. But because of the term mentally ill, nobody looks at it. I end up making phone call after phone call after phone call. And like when I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, I spent all of my money on going back and forth to see my therapist there in Cheyenne. When I was here in Nebraska and I had my place in Sydney, I was spending my money to go back and forth to therapy there and then come back to chapel to use the internet outside of Aunt Bee's house because I had to check the mail and she just never answered her phone. That doesn't make me a bad person or never answered her her door. Like, she said that I could have my mail sent there. And then for 2 weeks, she didn't answer her door. And then when I finally got her to answer the door to get my mail, the mail that I was waiting for, and it's in that pile somewhere, that mail that I was waiting for was so that I could protect myself from these people. And I open up the mail, and it's already a week overdue for when I have to go in for my appointment for them. I'm like, see, that's the thing about having my own mailbox in my own place. When I had that place in Sydney, I had a mailbox, but it was an open mailbox in the apartment building. I didn't have any internet access. My computer was broken, and if it weren't for Nicole Peralta and Jen Beebe, my computer never would have gotten fixed. That's literally the computer that I'm using now. I spent hundreds upon hundreds of hours saving evidence on the hard drive, and then the hard drive bugged out, and I had to get it replaced. And there was nothing that I could do about it except start over. I should have never had to go to my predators for help. I mean, my mother was my predator growing up. My dad was my predator growing up. I should have never had to record people without their permission. But then, if you look at the videos where people knew they were being recorded, they lied outright. Like my dad in two of the videos that I recorded with him, he knew he was being recorded. He lied outright on those videos. And then Miss Peaches, like the video, Miss Peaches' statement. I mean, Miss Peaches knew that she was being recorded, and she talked about a bunch of stuff she wasn't there for. And that doesn't make her a bad person, but the fact is, I needed her to tell the truth about the situation she was there for. Brandon Ratner, he knows that he's being recorded when I record him now, but he didn't get mad at me over it. And Erin Cockerham, like the things that she had to say, and Cara Mia, the things that she had to say. And there's a lot of evidence that I would love to be able to show, but I don't have access to because I'm not computer savvy enough to find it. I want my life to end, but I'm not trying to kill myself. I should have never been put on suicide watch. I should have never had to hold those computers hostage in the hospital in Scottsbluff to prevent them from drugging me. You saw how when they drugged me in Clearview and then were laughing at me for trying to get the police. Yeah, I fucking clobbered that dude. They fucking injected me with drugs. When I was transferred there, I was transferred there from a Vista hospital in Boulder County, and I was trying to turn in officers there. I was trying to get an officer to come take my report there. And they told me that I was there of my own free will. And I was like, well, then I'm leaving. And when I went to leave, they said, all right, well, now you're not there of your own free will. And they pulled out the pads and smacked me to the floor and injected me with drugs. I mean, they injected me with drugs that made it so that I had my first experience of not being attached to reality. There has never been a point in my life before that that I was separated completely from reality that way. I mean, all I could see was a yellow screen with a blue stripe in it. That is literally what my vision was. And I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, Ted Bollinger, you son of a bitch, you killed your daughter. They hadn't found the guy who killed her yet by that point. And none of these people are understanding of the fact that, yes, I'm overwhelmed. That's the reason that I act this way, is because there is too much of it. I can't possibly take care of myself. There is no way in hell. And when I say things that people don't like, even when I show the truth there, the things that Tabby told um, me and the things that she told Miss Peaches are completely different. I've done everything that I can to show the truth in all of these situations. I mean, Lan Engeline and her daughter, they were my pot dealers. I shouldn't have had to come out with that in public. And then instead of listening to what I'm saying at these hospitals, They want to fucking do whatever it is that helps cover the wrongdoing of the police officers. Like, the only drugs that you're going to find in my system ever are drugs that they put in me or marijuana. And marijuana does help. If I was allowed to go to Colorado, it would be fine for me to smoke marijuana. And I don't smoke it that often. I use it medicinally, and it's only when I have to deal with extremely stressful situations. When I'm by myself, I don't need it. When I'm not in a situation where I'm overwhelmed, I don't need it. And if I have a severe panic attack because of the situation, I can smoke marijuana and have it calm me down and help me out within 5 minutes. And it doesn't destroy my liver. But I don't like being stoned either. So I don't smoke it very often. Then, like, they're very vague at these hospitals. They're like, oh, well, your history of drugs. I'm like, my history of drugs? I don't fucking do drugs. I grew up on drugs that the government forced into me. I didn't choose to do those drugs. I didn't have a choice. You either take the drugs or they inject them into you. And those are your two choices. Meanwhile, it's illegal to do that. The jails that I was in, I explained to them that as soon as I get out, I'm going to take you son of a bitches to court. I'm going to file a police report. So they sent me to the mental hospitals, the very same mental hospital that I've been trying to take to court. And I can't get a public pretender to do their fucking job. These public pretenders didn't try to get a hold of any of the witnesses, didn't try looking at the evidence. They just assumed mentally ill and fucking flushed me down the toilet. When I tried to get a new public pretender when I was in Larimer County, like, at first I had Zoe Tanner. And Zoe Tanner wouldn't do her job. And I have something written from Graham that shows that she made excuse after excuse. When she didn't show up repeatedly, she had plenty of excuses why she didn't show up. She should have said those things in court. Meanwhile, every time that she doesn't show up, it costs me $100. It costs me $100 to travel back to somewhere where I am unsafe in order to go to those court dates, in order to go see those fucking public pretenders and see their investigators. And not one of their investigators ever showed up. For every court date that I had an appointment with an investigator that cost me $100. For every court date that I had an appointment with my public pretender who never showed up that cost me $100. Plus the $100 that I have to spend for going to court. And they can't do all of this in one day for God knows what reason. And when I tried to sue I told Zoe Tanner in her office that I was going to sue them. So they wouldn't allow me to get a new public pretender unless I signed a piece of paper saying that I couldn't go after them in court. Like, are you fucking kidding me? They gave me two choices. They said, you either sign this piece of paper that makes it so the public pretender's office doesn't get in any trouble, or you have to plead guilty. And those are the two choices that I had in Larimer County. Meanwhile, there was a former military personnel who raped a 6-year-old boy, molested a 6-year-old boy, and he was allowed to walk right out the door because he served in the military. I'm the one fighting for our Constitution.